It's Amy, your Gray Girlfriend, and welcome to the Gray Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. First, let me say that I'm so happy and grateful that you're here with me. Out of the more than 3 million podcasts available, you chose this one, so thank you. This podcast was created for high-achieving women, real women who face and conquer real challenges, real women who are ready to take their lives to the next level. Between us all, we've been through it all, and I'm here to tell you, you can thrive despite it. So whether you're commuting to or from work or doing one of the other 50,000 things you do on a weekly basis, pop in your earbuds, my friend, and let's go. Welcome to the Gray Girlfriend's Guide to Life podcast. This is your host, Amy Blair Lawson. Today's episode is entitled, The Beauty of Late Blooms. It's springtime here in North Carolina, and if you're like me, you can't wait to dig in the dirt. If you're also like me, you don't always get your bulbs planted in the previous fall, but you still want your flowers right on time. And again, if you're like me, you try to force them to bloom early by bringing them indoors and coaxing them with heat and light. Yet even then, the flowers rarely hold the same strength or color as the ones that push through the soil naturally. Our lives unfold much the same way. When we try to rush our own becoming by comparing our growth to others or forcing outcomes, we cheat ourselves of the deep roots and quiet strength that form in the waiting. True blooming, like nature itself, cannot be hurried. It doesn't help that some people seem to arrive at life's milestones, quote unquote, right on time. They graduate and marry, build careers and raise families, and check every societal box with tidy precision. But that's not who I'm talking to today. I'm talking to the others of us, the ones who, by conventional standards, bloom late. The ones who may feel perpetually, quote-unquote, behind, even though nothing about our inner world is lacking. If you're one of these people, especially a woman in midlife or beyond, I want to tell you something that Carl Jung himself would have nodded at with full-hearted understanding. You are not late. You are ripening in your own divine season. Our culture loves timelines, but the linear life is a myth. Productivity charts and 5-year plans and age benchmarks tell women that they should have achieved something, as if the unfolding of a soul could be plotted on an Excel spreadsheet. Carl Jung resisted this linear obsession. He believed in the individuation process, that lifelong journey toward becoming one's fullest, most integrated self. Individuation doesn't follow the calendar, it follows the soul's timing. In Jung's view, our personalities evolve in stages. The first half of life focuses on ego building, forming our professional roles and identities, families and labels. The second half, often beginning around midlife, invites us to peel those layers back to meet the deeper, truer self that has been quietly waiting underneath. Women who bloom late are often those of us who never abandon that deep inner knowing. We may have taken longer because the outer path didn't match our inner truth. Society may call it delay, but Jung would call it alignment. Many people who thrive early in life do so by aligning with outer expectations, and there's nothing wrong with that. It often teaches competence and discipline and confidence. But for others, particularly women sensitive to the inner life, this pace feels like a forced march. The late bloomer may spend her 20s or 40s feeling lost or unmotivated or even invisible. Yet beneath the surface, something essential is germinating. A deep, archetypal process Jung compared to descending into the underworld. In myth, this descent is never wasted time. It's where the heroine meets her shadow, the parts of herself deemed unacceptable or too much by polite society. But hidden gifts take root there. Gifts such as wisdom and compassion, authentic creativity and resilience. Only after facing this darkness do we return to the world carrying a new light. So why do some souls need time? Some souls simply move at a deeper rhythm. We need lived experience, heartbreak or healing or solitude before we can bring forth our gifts. Jung might say we are strong, intuitive, or feeling types. We must experience meaning before we act. This is especially true for those of us who spent years serving others or raising children or conforming to external images of success. Our energy was outwardly focused as society demanded it be. Then suddenly, or gradually, we hear a call inward to rediscover our essence and reclaim our voice. These awakenings may look like delays from the outside, but in reality, they are spiritual maturation, a sacred ripening that produces authenticity rather than performance. For many women, the rhythm of late blooming is also shaped by early experiences of wounding, what Jung may call encounters with the shadow before the ego is ready to hold it. Childhood trauma or neglect or emotional abandonment can force the psyche to protect itself through suppression or perfectionism, delaying the natural unfolding of the authentic self. Yet Jung believed these wounds often carry the seeds of transformation. The pain that once silenced a child frequently becomes the root of a woman's greatest sensitivity and insight later in life. Healing then becomes the soil from which the late bloomer grows, not despite her past, but because she has learned to turn it into wisdom. There is an alchemy of midlife. By midlife, women begin to feel an internal shifting, that quiet urge to become whole. Jung described this transformation as an alchemical process, the turning of raw, lived experiences into psychological gold. At this stage, everything once repressed begins to rise, the creativity or ambition or sensitivity or quiet wisdom that has been tucked away to keep life neat. A late bloomer isn't beginning late. She's integrating all that she has lived through into something luminous and powerful and whole. Imagine how different life feels when you realize that you were never waiting to start. You were gathering the material for your own masterpiece. According to Jung, it's important to let go of comparison. In Jungian language, comparison belongs to the persona world, the mask we wear for social acceptance. While it's necessary in youth, it's suffocating in maturity. Late bloomers often struggle because they internalize society's script, believing that their worth depends on keeping up. But the individuation process dismantles that illusion. True fulfillment begins when we stop performing and start expressing. So when you notice that others seem to be ahead, pause and remember, you are on an inner journey that has no competition and no clock. You are cultivating depth that can't be quantified or hurried. There are hidden advantages of the late bloomer. There are a lot of wonderful gifts that come with timing. For example, there is depth over speed. Late bloomers rarely skim life's surface. Our insight and empathy come from lived experience. There's the integration of the shadow. Because we've wrestled with self-doubt and uncertainty, we hold more compassion for ourselves and others. There is authentic motivation. Our next chapter isn't driven by external validation, but by an inner call toward meaning. There is also emotional intelligence. Having endured seasons of questioning, we approach success with grounded presence rather than anxiety. And then there's tremendous resilience. Every so-called delay built the capacity to endure and adapt and flourish. Late blooming women are like perennials, not fragile seedlings. Once we bloom, we do so year after year, blooming deeper and stronger each time. And then there are our baby sisters, the younger women still quote-unquote becoming. If you are in your 20s or 30s and are feeling behind, this is not a flaw. And I'm going to say it again, this is not a flaw. It's your initiation into wisdom. I wish I had known this 40 years ago, because if I had, I would have been a lot kinder to myself. Our culture will tell you to speed up, but your psyche might be whispering the opposite. Your psyche might be telling you to slow down until you can hear yourself again. You don't have to find your purpose by 30 or even 40. Every time you try something that doesn't fit, you refine your authenticity. Every minute you spend on healing your emotional wounds through personal and spiritual growth and development helps you step more firmly into your power. What matters is not the pace, my friend, but the integration. Integrating the wisdom you've gleaned from the experiences you've had rather than checking a bunch of boxes. Imagine planting a tree. You may feel compelled to tuck the roots into shallow soil just to see quick results, but the tree will topple at the first storm. But if you plant it deep into the earth and allow its roots time to take hold, it will outlast generations. This is what you are doing. You are deep. You think deeply and you feel deeply, and the impact you make because of your depth will positively impact generations to come. So we have to trust the cycles. Jung often spoke about archetypes of transformation. One of those archetypes is the wise woman. This archetype shows up when we've shed our younger self's need to people please and accepted the sovereignty of our own soul. For many women, this emergence happens later in life because the first half was devoted to nurturing others or establishing survival. The wisdom years bring clarity. You no longer need to prove anything. You simply need to embody what you know. And this embodiment, grounded and whole and luminous, is the gift you bring to the world. The world desperately needs elder women who radiate this depth because this depth teaches others, especially our baby sisters, that unfolding at your own pace is sacred, not shameful. So I encourage you to look at blooming as an act of rebellion. There's something revolutionary about refusing to rush your life. Choosing your own pace in a productivity-obsessed world is a radical act of self-respect. When a woman stops apologizing for her timing and begins to live from her soul, she becomes magnetic. Opportunities that once eluded her begin to align naturally because she is no longer chasing them. She's attracting and resonating and receiving. You are not late. You are simply synchronized with your own sacred calendar, the one written into your bones long before society handed you its to-do list. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Becoming takes time and courage and faith in your own inner process. So the women still finding their way, whether you're 25 or 55 or 75, may you learn to bless your own timing. The path of the late bloomer is not a detour. It's a pilgrimage. You're exactly on schedule, your schedule. And with that, allow me to say this. May you trust your becoming, even in life's slow chapters. And remember, what blooms slowly lasts the longest, and so will you. I'm wishing you peace and plenty of long-lasting blooms. Until next time, this is Amy, your gray and late blooming girlfriend. Hey, it's Amy. Did you know that what we tell ourselves about ourselves impacts every decision we make? Every decision. So if you're feeling stuck in any aspect of your life, RTT can help. Want to know more? Go to amyblairlawson.com or click on the calendar link in the show notes to schedule your complimentary 30-minute consultation. Oh, one last thing. I can't forget the legal stuff. You know what I'm talking about. The language a lawyers write that I have to read to you. Well, here it goes. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. While I am a rapid transformational therapy practitioner, a certified divorce financial analyst, and a licensed investment advisor, this podcast is not intended as a substitute for a private session or a consultation. Got it? All right. Until next time, wishing you peace and plenty of all good things.